My name is Evelyn, and I am a franchisee of a company called Cruise Planners. I bought the franchise 8 years ago, and I've been selling travel ever since then. And I am a big believer in the Viking product, and that's why we've got Tracy here today with us. Tracy's my BDM. How many states do you cover, Tracy?
6.
6 states. She's spending 3 days in Tullahoma, Manchester, Winchester area so that we can educate you guys on the Viking experience. And has anybody ever sailed on Viking before? Couple over here, yeah. Well, Tracy, I'm going to turn it over to her and let her talk a little bit about the product, and then I'll come back up and close it out.
Sure. Okay. Well, I always like to, now that I'm here, start it out and introduce myself from small town Tennessee, but that's really not impressive to you guys, right? So I'm from Johnson City. I'm over east a little bit further, but she's right. We picked 3 days. We're going around at different locations and just teaching people about Viking, inviting you in, trying to lure you on board our gorgeous ships. And I will say, I'm not just here, I'm here because of Evelyn. So she told you a little bit about herself, but I'm going to brag for a second. So the franchise that she is a part of, there are 2,500 cruise planners, travel agents. Last month, she was in the top 30 producing of those 2,500. So I have to brag a little bit. I'm here because she is a go-getter, incredible travel advisor, and so want to connect you to the Viking product. She has some groups that we're going to talk about at the end. So if you haven't been to Europe and you want to go, but you'd like to go with people you know, she's going to escort a few of those next year. I know she's done it in the past, and so that's really a draw if it's your first time and you're a little more hesitant to go overseas. There you are. She's going to talk about that at the end. Because it's a small group, I do want this to be interactive. If I say something, I know I saw a few of you raise your hands, you've sailed before, nod your heads if you agree with something I'm saying. If you have a question, stop me. It's not like we're in a formal theater. I want to know what you have questions about, and I might be talking about something very similar to an experience you had previously on another product. Ask me questions, feel free. Don't worry about interrupting, and help yourselves to food and wine as we go. I'm going to ask a question before I get started. How many of you have cruised, period? Just on a cruise? Okay, most of you. So are you here because you're interested in the river cruising product, more of a smaller ship experience? Yes, I knew the answer. It's kind of rhetorical. I know why you're here, right? So I have quite a long, it is a little warm, isn't it? I think the sun, I just had to move out of the sun there.
I've been working before.
Yeah, she's our guest for her. So I've been in the industry for quite a while, and I have to say, as I've grown up in this industry, and if you've cruised before, you've probably watched as well, the industry, the ships have gotten larger and larger and larger, and frankly, the ships are now the destination, right? There's a ship that you can go now and you can get a tattoo, a real tattoo on board. You can ice skate. You can zip line. There are so many things that you can do on board these. They're great vessels, great companies. However, Viking is the exact opposite of all those things I just said. So we are small ships. If you walk away today and you only learned that this is a really great sweet wine, I want 2 other things you to learn. Small ship experience, and we're focused on the destination. So these large ships, they're the destination. Viking is focused on taking our guests to the actual destination, immersing you in the culture of the destination through everything that we do, whether it's on the ship, off the ship, before you go. It is truly about the destination. So if that interests you, you're in the right place, okay? I'm gonna go here, Viking, slide over to the side. If you've seen our logo in the past year or so, we started out in 1996, we were Viking River Cruises. We were river cruise product only. In 2015, we launched ocean ships. We became Viking Cruises. And then just last year, we launched our expedition product, and we dropped the word cruises were just Viking. We all stood a little prouder that day. I'm a Viking, you're a Viking, I want you to be a Viking. But very recognizable name. And this really just points out, most importantly in the left-hand corner, 7 continents. So with the launch of that expedition product, we now boast that we can take you to that bucket list continent, that last and final continent, Antarctica. So not just rivers, some people didn't know we do ocean expedition, and even closer to home, we have a ship on the Mississippi River now. So lots of options. We're in the Great Lakes, and I'm gonna go through that. Most of the presentation from start to about 3/4 in is about rivers, because that's where more than 60 of our ships are. They're on the rivers. So that's the focus today, but everything that I tell you is applicable on each of our other products as well. So if I tell you we have heated bathroom floors, that's on every single ship. River, ocean, expedition, Mississippi. If I tell you we include the Wi-Fi, that's on all the ships that we have. So that's very easy. It's an easy product to learn. You don't have to ask questions. Hey, is bottled water included? Absolutely. Every ship, every time you walk off the ship, they're going to hand you a bottle of water so that you stay hydrated in your ports. So that's a little bit about us. Small ship experts. This is our long ship. So for those of you that are interested in that transition over to those smaller ships, this is our Viking longship. Over 60 of these floating in Europe right now. 190 guests. Pretty appealing. 190 other people. By the end of the week, if you like to socialize, you'll know everybody on that ship. Quite nice. And then this is the ocean ship. It looks larger, but this is still considered a small ship class. It's 930 guests. So very small ship class there. In asking you if you've cruised before, I like to do a little compare and contrast, say this is what happens on an ocean ship, here are the differences on a river ship. So most of you have cruised. I think everybody raised their hands. You fell in love with cruising. Why? You unpack once, you visit multiple countries, right? That's part of a draw and the sell to cruising is you don't really have to think about it. You don't have to worry about renting a car, where you're gonna go. It's all planned out for you. So that is the really, I think COVID maybe accelerated this a little bit to that smaller ship experience. People think, oh, 190 guests, that's quite nice now. But one of the things that we do and that smaller vessel allows us to do is get you closer to the destination. So how many of you get brochures once 3 times a day in your mailbox? Are we trying to lure? Yes. Yes, we're trying to lure you in with those brochures. So we send out quite a bit of those. Every bit of literature that you see, if you get those brochures, you're going to see the river cruise. This is what you see. All of the pictures show those ships. This is not just to show you a river ship. Constantly changing scenery. So comparing to an ocean ship, remember the first time you cruised, if you can go back, you went upstairs, you wanted to see the beautiful sunset over the water. Remember that? You all did it, right? The second night, you maybe went up and did the same thing, and then you never saw the sunset again because it was the same sunset over the water. So very different on rivers, constantly changing scenery. So no matter where you are on the rivers, you're going to float around, float down the river, and there might be a castle here, there might be a cathedral here, but you're right up in the heart, and you dock next to these little quaint cities, these towns. This here, you might dock here. You walk a short walk away, and you're in the heart of your destination. So that's really, that's one of the, I think, selling points to rivers, and the way we present it to guests is that ocean ships take you to a destination. On a river ship, you become a part of that destination because you're right there. You step off the ship, you're only with 190 other guests, and you get off in that city and you feel like you just stepped out of your hotel. You go to a coffee shop, cafe. This is our Mississippi ship. So this is the Viking Mississippi. On the top, it's a riverboat, but it's designed to feel like an ocean vessel. On the bottom, this is that expedition ship I talked about that takes you to the polar regions. Less than 400 guests on both of these. So that's easy to remember. I'm not going to confuse you, but less than 400. So how do we connect our guests to that destination? I talk a lot about connecting the guests How do we do it? Our promise to you, and part of why I think we've been successful, so successful in this industry, is we are not trying to be all things to everyone. We know what we're good at, and we've stayed true to that. It's taking you to a destination, immersing you in the culture through history, wine, cuisine, religion, politics, everything around that region, immersing you in that. You come back on board, you have a great meal, and you enjoy meeting new friends. So this is the product. You're not going to see Viking come out there and boast this Vegas style review. The performers that come on board are from that destination, and they're going to show you local performances while you're on the ship. Before you go on the ship, off the ship, it's all about the destination. We like to call it the thinking person's cruise, not the drinking person's cruise. The last few presentations, you guys are really quiet. The last few presentations I've done, I told everybody that, you know, I like the way they describe this, but I started out 21 years ago. If you passed my parents on the street, said, "Hey, how's Tracy? What's she doing these days?" They said, "Well, we're real proud of that one. She's calling bingo out on a cruise ship." They weren't super thrilled. So I don't always love to say the drinking person's cruise because it's a little bit of where I came from, but now found this beautiful product in Viking, and it is created for curious travelers. I heard this the other day, and I just added it into the presentation because I think it really suits our guests. Are you a perpetual learner that chases education? My husband, I wake up at night, he's watching history documentaries. He gets these magazines, and he's reading about the Franconian countryside. I've traveled for 20 years. I don't know the Franconian countryside. I couldn't point it out on a map, but he knows all about it, and he will certainly tell me about it. But if you are interested in education, culture of a region, Viking's going to connect you to that. So before you go, we've got filmographies, cultural videos. How many of you have discovered Viking TV? Anybody? So it's easy. Viking.tv. Incredible programming. It might be about recipes. It might be about the destination. Anybody watch Downton Abbey? Yes, so that got a lot of nods, yes. Is that what introduced you to Viking? Is that how you learned about Viking? So Viking TV, incredible programming. You can find short clips about just really who we are. It introduces the brand to you even more. And I said it several times, everything on the ship, off the ship, shares in that region's culture. Cuisine and wine are a part of the culinary journey. How many of you want to go places and try new food? If you are adventurous and you want to try new things when you travel, the left side of the menu, every single night, every single product, you're going to be introduced to regionally inspired cuisine. So whether it's spices, seasonings, a traditional dish from that region, you're going to get to try appetizer, maybe salad, a dish, a dessert from that region. If you're not as adventurous and you like to stick closer to home, the right side of the menu is that classic American fare, steak and baked potato. You can get the salmon, broccoli, fish, vegetarian options. So a little more familiar if you want that. So you've got both. As well as signature taste of events. So throughout the week, you're going to have opportunities to try maybe a local drink, a cocktail. They do on the Danube, one night they'll call everyone up and they'll do goulash, a traditional goulash after dinner. So lots of signature taste of. On the RHINE, there's a Black Forest demonstration. They give you the recipe, how they make the Black Forest cake, and you get to try that. So lots of taste of events. You don't necessarily have to fill your belly, but you can certainly try lots of new things. I'm going to go back, casual elegance. I get this asked quite a bit for those of you that have cruised over the years. No formal nights, no white gloves, no butlers. It's country club casual. Usually the men like sit up a little taller when they hear that. They're glad they don't have to dress up. Typically, the only thing that we ask is that you don't wear shorts in the dining room. So everybody in here could go into the dining room perfectly comfortable. We know that you're going to be out exploring. We don't want you to feel like you have to rush back, get cleaned up, put on a formal gown, and go to dinner. So that's always, I think, an attractive feature. So we say that it's a highly inclusive product, which means everything you could possibly need is included. And there are only two things really that would be additional. In every single port, every single city, there's an included shore excursion. If you tell your friends, I'm going to go to this city, they're going to say, oh, if you go to this city, you must see this. We know that highlight. We know what it is that you want to see in that region. So we're going to put that together and take you there automatically. That's included with your cruise fare every single day. You're going to get off the ship with 20 to 25 other guests. We mix it up a little bit through the week, so you really go on these excursions with different people that you're traveling with. So small groups off the ship, typically in the morning, a couple of hours. Sometimes it might be a bus ride to the destination. Sometimes you're right there and you step off the ship and you walk from the ship. But there's one of those every single day. When I say there are two things you could upgrade, we have optional excursions. So I told this morning. I took my dad to Russia years ago. Was so excited to come back. I didn't get married until I was in my 40s, and so my parents got to travel. They're proud of me now. They got to travel. They'd flip a coin on who got to go with me. But I took my dad to Russia, and I was so excited to take him. We're going to Swan Lake, Daddy. We're going to the ballet in Russia. First time I'm seeing the ballet. He looked at me and he said, Daddy ain't doing that. Daddy ain't. You could take that back. So we know that the Russian ballet is not going to be something that everybody's interested in. So that's not something that we include. So those optionals, the ones that you can add additionally, are usually very special interest excursions. For example, Crims. You might ride down the countryside on an e-bike, go to the vineyards, end up at a castle. If you don't want to ride a bicycle, you're not going to choose that excursion. So we really say these are special interest. If you don't like wine, I think we all like wine. We're all here, right? You're not going to go to the winery and try a flight of wines and go down and see in the storage area where the barrels and how they've aged the wine. So they're very, very special interest. Typically there's 3 or 4 each day that you could add on. All onboard meals. Everything is included, all of your food. Beer, wine, and soft drinks are included with lunch and dinner. So every time you sit down, there's going to be a red glass, a white glass. They're going to ask you your choice, and you will have unlimited wine and beer for lunch and dinner. For breakfast. Did you catch that? You can, though. That upgraded package. So for those of you that perhaps you want to try some higher end wines, you want a cocktail, you like a margarita with dinner, we have a Silver Spirits beverage package that you can upgrade. So this is that other thing. So the optional shore excursions and then the Silver Spirits beverage package. It's $25 a person per day, so it's very inexpensive, but it opens up the wine list and gets access to all of the drinks that we have. So kind of an open bar type package. Specialty coffees and teas. I'm the person that has to have the coffee in the room to get to the coffee bar, to get to the cafe off the ship. So we have a refrigerator in your stateroom. You can certainly bring on a bottle of wine if you choose. We're not gonna always get a laugh out of this because you've had it done if you've cruised. We're not gonna pat you down at the gangway and make sure you're not smuggling a bottle of wine on board. We invite you to do that. There's no corkage fee. Put it in your refrigerator, take it to your stateroom, bring it to us for dinner. We'll open it for you. You can enjoy it on your balcony. So really it's that $25 is just a small upcharge to open up the bar for you. Bottled water. It's one of my favorite things. Replenished daily in your stateroom as well as bottles as you go off the ship. Wi-Fi. Do you guys remember when we used to vacation to disconnect? And now we have to stay connected. So we do have complimentary Wi-Fi. All of our cruises, every single itinerary, we give you an option of a pre or a post. So you could come in 3 or 4 days before, 2 days before. We have lots of options. And you can stay later, or you can do both. So every itinerary that we do, we give those options, and they're first class hotels. This is just to say we're not going to stick you in the budgetel motel and then bring you on this beautiful vessel. They're all first class, kind of the expectation you have for the Viking product and service. And I heard someone talking about this after, I don't know, Evelyn, if you did, but they were talking about how The Viking representative, if you come in a few days before and you do that pre-package, there's a Viking representative. It's kind of like your concierge that's there all day. They have office hours. If you say, I want to go to a theater, they'll say which theater. Here are the theaters, and they'll get your tickets. If you need transportation, they'll call a taxi. You could Uber, certainly, if you want. But they're your concierge that's included in with that. So you do have that Viking representative on those pre and post. And then if you want even more, you go on one of Evelyn's group trips. So you have 2 concierge, 2 access. This is a beautiful slide. It paints a picture of who we are based on what we're not. No casinos, no children under 18. This is an adults only product. No children running around, no photographers, no art auctions, no pressure. It's one of my favorites. No pressure, no smoking, no lines, no formal nights, and no nickel and diming. There's really not a thing that you're going to go on the ship and have to buy. Just the 2 things we talked about, but you can do those before, and Evelyn can help you with those short excursions and that drink package. Any questions so far? Somebody talk to me. Talk back to me. I need some talking.
Well, it says
What'd you say?
Mississippi, Mark Twain.
Yes.
where it says no charge for alternative restaurants.
Yes.
How many, are there multiple alternative restaurants?
So on the ocean ships, and I'll kind of get to that, on the ocean vessels, because they're ocean vessels, much larger, we have specialty restaurants. We have the spa, we have the swimming pools, we have the infinity pool, we have the bars and lounges, the theaters. So because it's an ocean vessel, we have more options. But there, on those vessels, there's no charge for the specialty restaurants ever. There's no charge for access to the spa. There's no entrance fee. We even have laundry facilities on the ship, the powder, the soaps, all included. So as we upgrade to the ocean ships, there's even more that's included in. Good question. Any others? Yes, sir.
Ma'am, if I understood you correctly, you said you got 190, approximately 190
Yes.
passengers,
Yes.
and that at certain stops, groups of 25 will go out and go exploring.
Yes.
Do you have to go?
No. Nope. Out of all 190 guests, everyone gets to go on that included excursion. But we put you in groups of 25, so you're with a smaller, intimate group. So I want to make sure that that was clear how I said that. So you're going off with 25 people, so it doesn't feel like you're 190 people squished in. And so that's on the ship. You don't have to do those included. They're certainly included, but you don't have to go. They're going to put a ticket on your bed each night for the next day. If you don't want to go and you want to go on your own, you just don't show up and you go off on your own. So the way they do that in cities that are a little heavier populated, Budapest, for example, Cologne, or two off the top of my head, they will take you on a different route. So one group of 25 people might start in the gardens, walk around, end up at the cathedral. The other group might start at the cathedral, end up. So they are mindful of that. But there are some cities, Regensburg, for example, fantastic Jewish history tour, very dark time, but you've heard about it your entire life, but to go there and hear the stories, touch the doors, see the stumbling stones, the memorials for the Holocaust. Yes, there are lots of people there, but you're in that intimate group, so it feels less touristy, like you're shuffled around. So that's unavoidable. If anybody ever been to St. Mark's Square, all the pigeons and people. So with that in mind, we do the best we can at keeping it intimate, and that's why we have those. You're going to get they call it a quiet box, and it's chargeable every single night in your stateroom, and you wear it around your neck. It's about this size, and then it has an earpiece that's adjustable, and so you don't even have to stay up close to your guide. I'm always in the coffee shop, and I can still hear where they are. And now we're approaching this, and they're telling, so I always know my husband's looking for me. I'm like, honey, I'll find you. Got to get my coffee. So yes, good point. So going behind the scenes, how do we do this? How do we connect our guests to that culture intimately? Small groups. We take you behind the scenes and you really see how they live, how they work. Privileged access. We have a lot of, we have a ship that sails every single day from every single port. And so there might be a Sunday where certain things are closed that we have access to, that we're able to get you behind the scenes. For example, Vienna, there's a Mozart and Strauss concert at this beautiful opera house. It was a private concert for 3 Viking ships. So the only guests that evening at the concert were the 3 Viking ships that happened to be in Vienna that evening. So that was very nice, very intimate. Yes, you were with 2 other ships, but it didn't feel like it was a private Viking only event. So that's a lot of the behind the scenes. We call that privileged access, that we have these connections every day when we're in Europe. How many of you that are here for rivers are curious about one of these itineraries? The Rhine, the Danube, or the Grand European? These are our most popular. This is where most of our inventory lies. So the Rhine Getaway, the Romantic Danube, these are 2 8-day itineraries that visit 4 countries. I think the popularity stems from the fact that they do resemble that cruising experience that you fell in love with, we talked about earlier. You unpack once and you get to visit multiple countries. So the Rhine Getaway, 8 days, 4 countries. This is a very port intensive. It's a port every single day. We stay longer in the ports. You're gonna see overnights with Viking. Again, because we're not trying to pull you back on board so you'll spend money in the casino, so you'll buy photos. We want you off the ship exploring, connecting to your destination. So that is a great port intensive itinerary, 8 days. And you can't see it on this map, but there's one day, say if you start in Amsterdam and you go south, you're in Koblenz in the morning, you do your included excursion, and then you come back on the ship around lunchtime. They serve lunch, they have champagne, invite you to the top deck, and they sail down the river. There's 40 miles with 40 castles. So if you've ever had friends that have river cruised and they talk about that castle itinerary that's beautiful, that's the one that you're going to be interested in. And so then after you go the 40 miles, it's very close together here, you're going to end up that evening in Rüdesheim, and then you get to get off the ship, go out and explore Rüdesheim. So you're in 2 ports that day. 8-day port intensive. Romantic Danube, same thing, 8 days, 4 countries. However, you see there's not as many ports. It's because we stay overnight on the ship and you get a second day in a particular port. This is my favorite because I love to go off the ship at night. Night culture in Europe is very different than day culture. I always tell people when the sun goes down in Europe, the lights come on, these cathedrals, these palaces just light up beautifully. So this gives you that opportunity. If you want to get off the ship and explore, kind of understand and appreciate the night culture in a city, this is the one that you're looking for. So if you start, say, in Budapest, you're there that day, you stay overnight, you're there the next day, then you wake up day 3, you're in Vienna, you stay there all day, overnight, you're there the next day. Krems, Passau, you get to Regensburg, you stay there all day, you're there overnight. And so 3 overnight stays. It's less ports, but you really get to go and understand those ports. You could do excursions each day. For example, Vienna, you could do a winery, you could do the concert, you could go to the farmer's market. Your options are just unlimited. So that's the difference. So people often say, we can't decide which one. Those are the 2, in my opinion, differences. Most port intensive river cruise that we have is that Rhine Getaway. And then this is the overnights. And then if you can't decide and you just can't make a decision, you do both, Grand European. So this is Rhine, the Danube, and a little bit of the Main-Danube Canal in between. So it's 15 days. A lot of guests want to really maximize their investment of that flight over. If you've got the extra time, you can just do both rivers. And then this 15-day could essentially be a 21-day itinerary if you came in early and then you stayed later. So you could make this a 15-day, an 18-day, a 21-day. You can extend it as you wish. And this just shows you here the Amsterdam, day 2, Kinderdijk, Cologne, Koblenz, Rüdesheim. you can see several ports. And so that just gives you a bigger view of that romantic Danube. We also have one that's the Danube Waltz. This is Slovakia here. And so the only difference gives you a port, Bratislava, you stop there, versus on the romantic, you have an optional excursion that you can spend the day in Bratislava. So you'll see that a lot, the Danube Waltz. And then there's that Grand European. And you get those overnights on the Grand European and a few additional. And so that's the Longship. So 190 guests. When I talk about destination, we've even designed these ships. You can see the top deck is for observation. We have the aquavit terrace. You can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. Floor to ceiling glass. So even while you're on the ship, we're doing our best to draw the outside in. It's very well lit, light, bright spaces. So if we are sailing in the afternoon or the evening, you can certainly see everything that's passing you by, and 190 guests. So the majority of our ships, if you sail in Europe, are going to be on these Longships. Any questions about the ship? I'll kind of go. Did you have them? Sure.
I was going to ask you, do you have a sand cruise?
Yes, we sure do. I talk about this because this is typically the interest. We get the most questions about this, and this is where the majority of our inventory is. But if you decide you like rivers, we do have sailings that are even up to 15 days that are just in France. We have the Douro, Portugal, Spain. We have Vietnam. We have several options, Egypt, for example, that you can go to one country, really immerse yourself in that, but these are popular because they're multiple country itineraries. So, good question. So, beautiful ships. When I talk about being focused on destination, I don't want you to think that we've jeopardized or compromised the integrity of having these beautiful vessels. We're not going to put you on this paddle boat and send you down the river. They're gorgeous new vessels. Scandinavian design. Everything is just light and bright. You can see this is kind of the lobby area as you walk on the ship. And you can see how narrow these ships are. So they're very small. This is really because we have to get through the locks. So they have to be a certain size to get through the locks. So pretty much any river ship in Europe is going to be similar dimensions. This is the dining room. So we have 4 tops, 6 tops, 8 tops. There is no assigned seating. You can kind of mix and mingle if you choose. There is one assigned dining time though. So you have to show up, say if dinner one night is at 7 o'clock, you have to show up at 7 if you want the full course meal. It's not like there are multiple options because on the river ships we just have that one restaurant. It's kind of going back to your question about, so this on the rivers is the restaurant. This is the Viking Lounge bar. If you want, before dinner, you can go up and have a cocktail. This is that seating area. So this is the bar where I'm standing. Here's where that bar you just saw that looks out over the aquavit terrace. You see a baby grand. They do entertainment at night. They'll do trivia here. They'll do all the port talks, the lectures, the taste of events right here in that lounge. Fully stocked library with materials from authors from the regions, stories from those regions that we visit. So on every ship, that collection looks very different based on where we're stopping. Sun deck. Herb garden. So you'll see the chef go up and get garnishes for the dinners. And then the staterooms. So I'm going to talk about staterooms. I'm going to go through. We have the Explorer Suite. This is the one at the back of the ship. It's a super nice one that you want to brag to all your friends. I'm in the Explorer Suite. Come over later. This has a wraparound balcony at the back of the ship. So you truly have that back private balcony. This is the seating area. And then you have the separate living area over here. Then we have the Explorer Suite bathroom. And I always like to point this out. We don't want you to miss a thing. Even when you're showering, you can look out, see what's happening along the river. And then this is the veranda suite. So you have, it's still 2 designated spaces, a living space and then a sleeping space. The bathroom is in the bedroom area. But this just gives you a little bit of extra room. You have a veranda and then you have a French balcony in the bedroom. And I'm going to explain what that is. This is the question I get asked most often, the difference in what a veranda is and a French balcony. So the veranda stateroom we call, I think I said earlier, in Tennessee we call it a porch. This is the veranda. So you've got your little veranda. You can step out, you can sit down, you've got the table, you can read a book, have your coffee, champagne, whatever that looks like, out actually on the balcony. And then the French balcony is a door that's like a sliding glass door that you can open. You can kind of like step out, but it doesn't have the seating area. So that's the difference. It's a little confusing when it says balcony stateroom, that it's actually not the veranda. So we call our balcony, true balconies, verandas. Does that make sense to everybody? So when you get the suite, you get both. In the living area, you have the veranda, and in the bedroom, you have that French balcony. I think, Evelyn, we were talking earlier in the presentation we did about this French balcony. It's a more economical way to travel because it is a little more expensive to have that full veranda, but it's very nice because you can open that door, you can sit. Ladies, I usually sit at that little stool in front of the mirror and put my makeup on there because I've got natural light coming in, and I'll plug in my computer. So it's just nice to have that balcony open. You can see the river, you can hear the sounds, and really feel like you're just sitting on the side of the river. And then we have a standard stateroom. So this is a little bit less appealing. However, you can still see if it's day or night. So there's that. Or if it's raining, or if it looks cold and dreary. You can see wildlife here. The water level is about right here, but it's a great way to travel if you're looking to be more economical, of course. This is an option. We have a few of these, but you still have the amenities in a standard that you do in the veranda suite. The replenished water, you have the heated bathroom floors, you have the fogless mirrors, the toiletries that are included. So you don't lose amenities, but it's just, if you want to, anybody been to Alaska? You know how you do Alaska and it's like there's something to see all the time. I at least tell people French balcony is nice because you're never going to miss a thing. Okay, before I move on, any questions about rivers?
Oh, I do have a question.
Yes.
So you've got rooms on either side of the ship?
Yes.
And so is one side of the
No.
ship more expensive?
No,
than-
no, no. It's going to be the size of the balcony, really is the, yeah, good question. So everything I just said is applicable on our ocean ships. And I think I said at the beginning, an ocean ship takes you to that destination. This shows you here these iconic coastal port cities that our ocean ships visit. These are all of the ports that we visit on those ocean sailing vessels. And there's the ship that you will see those ports on. 930 guests. We made it easy on the ocean ships moving forward. Ocean Expedition Mississippi. You don't have to think about it. You're getting a veranda. Easy. Don't have to decide. Because it's an ocean vessel, we have the extra amenities. You've got the spa, you've got the sports deck, you have the extra restaurants, the alternative, the specialty restaurants that there's no charge. The winter garden, I'll flip through and show you some pictures. 24-hour room service, pool grill. Chef's table is a pairing. It takes about 2 hours. You leave saying, I'm never going to do it again, and then you want to go back the next night. Delicious food paired with wines. Manfredi's is a specialty Italian restaurant that we have on board. And so the culture curriculum we bring on board. So we do have the theaters. We do have these resident historians that live on board, lecturers that come, they stay for, say, 6 weeks. A lot of people are retired college professors, retired historians that will go and contract with us and stay on board. They'll have hours. The shows, it's local regional performers that we bring on board. I was in Switzerland back a couple of weeks ago, and for the first time ever, I saw this world-renowned yodelist. I didn't know that it is, and it was amazing. So I've never seen a yodeler, and it was this beautiful experience. So that's a part of it, introducing us to the performers from that region. Art, we have an app that you can download. You can go around and scan the art, learn about, a lot of times the ship that you're on is going to have art from those regions artists from the regions that you visit. So it's quite interesting. As you walk along and you see something you like, you can scan it. We've partnered with Edward Munch, and so we have a lot of his artwork. We also have this giant screen that's constantly changing, and you see live entertainment here. So this is what we call the living room, just a really cozy area in the atrium. The Met Opera, all the partnerships we have TED Talks on board, so it truly is educational programming. We have a small cast that's going to do some shows, but for the most part it's all regionally inspired. The ships are beautiful. This is the front of the ship on all of the ships, ocean moving forward. It's the 2-story, it's Explorer's Lounge, best view of the ship. Our chairman designed it. He said he wants the best view to be for all the guests to enjoy. So it's 2 stories. You can see here just a beautiful area. The Winter Garden, we offer an afternoon tea service, some events that we do here after hours. Nice place to sit, and you can see the Winter Garden back there. It opens up. This is a retractable dome, so no matter where we are in the world, you can take advantage of the heated pool. If we are in a region that has warmer climate, we take that dome off, slide it back, and you can enjoy movies under the stars, swim out, and then the Aquavit Terrace is where you dine back here, and the infinity pool is at the back. Access to the spa, so we have the thalassotherapy pools, we have the steam rooms, the thermal suites, everything you could possibly imagine, no charge for entrance to the spa. Of course, if you get a massage or a treatment, there is going to be a charge included, but we're not going to pressure you into purchasing oils and all the things after you leave. We have a snow grotto, so it's that Scandinavian treatment where you go in the heat and go to the cold, back and forth. The bucket challenge that you saw years ago, we have the buckets. You can drop the cold water on you as well. The restaurant, yeah, it's super popular. When you go in here, you see people, they're filling that bucket up. It's supposed to open up your bloodstream. I tried it in Asheville one time, got in the pool, and I said, I'm out of here. I can't do this. Super cold, but apparently it's a thing. So the restaurant, same thing as I showed you on the rivers. So this is the restaurant area. These doors will open. So if it's nice weather, we can open the doors and you can actually dine out by the sea. There's the Italian restaurant I talked about, specialty restaurant, hand-rolled pasta, private dining rooms that you can reserve. There's no charge. If you have a special event, you can just use your, make a reservation and have dinner in there. Chef's table, talked about that. Mamson's, so this is where we're known for our split pea soup. This is our chairman named this after his mother. A lot of her recipes, and even down to the china that he grew up using. He had them design this for the ship, so that's the china. Lots of intimate details, intricate and intimate. And then same thing with the ocean staterooms. So it's with oceans, because we have so many different categories, the higher category you go is considered an upgrade, and the higher categories come with certain amenities. You might be able to board the ship sooner. You might be able to book your priority spa reservations. You might be able to book your shore excursions. So depending on the category. So as I flip through and show you the staterooms, you're going to see a lot of information over here. I'll stop. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But so the veranda, 270 square feet. This is what you get. 3 p.m. access. 60 days prior to departure, you can book your shore excursions. And then as you go up on the ship, you're going to see the deluxe now. You get to board at 2 p.m. You get 60 days prior. You get binoculars, coffee, blanket. So just the amenities as you go up on the ship are going to be added. Penthouse Junior Suite. So the ocean ships are, you really have that separate area, the couch area, the lounge area, as well as that veranda that you can open and step out onto. The Explorer Suite has a boardroom if you need to have a meeting. Call all your new friends in. Bathtub even in that Explorer Suite. Really nice staterooms. Expedition. Incredible ship. 7th continent. We now touch all the continents. We can take you anywhere that you want to go. These ships were designed for polar regions, in the Great Lakes in the summer season. This is the hangar. So all of these water sports, not really water sports activities, you board in the hangar. So with the safety of our guests in mind, you board here. You come off this, I call it a conveyor belt, but this belt that lowers you down into the water. So you don't have to board these vessels off the ship, because it is truly wilderness, but a very safe industry first. And then that ship, when it comes over, there's some of the equipment. It comes over for the summer season, our summer season in the Great Lakes. So you have 8-day itineraries, Toronto to Milwaukee, for those of you that want to stay a little closer to home but still want that Viking experience. We have these itineraries 8 days, and then if you want 15 days, this visits all 5 Great Lakes. So this is a newer product for us. It's been incredibly popular. Again, people wanting to stay closer to home, we now have those options. And the Mississippi. So there she is, less than 400 guests, just like that expedition ship. A true riverboat sailing on the Mississippi. And there's the itineraries that she offers, 15 days, all the way up to St. Paul or back. And then 8 days, we have some round trips, Heart of the Delta. This is very similar to the holiday season. And we are open to, we just opened Egypt for 2025. I mean, we're just now starting to open up. If you're planning for 2025, be ready, because we're trying to, in the next maybe 3 to 4 weeks, open up 2025 sailings. So it's incredible how quickly Viking sells out, sells full. But if any of these you're interested in, we can still get you on some rivers in 23. We have this incredible promotion right now. If you know anything, if you get those brochures, for those of you that do, $25 per person will secure that as a deposit. Typically it's $500 per person. So we had that in January, February. We're trying to finish up some space. Incredible promotion. I'm going to invite Evelyn up. We're going to talk a little bit more about groups, some of the things that she's going to offer as we go.
As I mentioned earlier, I know a few of you came in late, but I have been a franchisee with Cruise Planners since 2014, and we are the largest home-based agency in the country, and we have a very strong working relationship with Viking and a lot of the different travel providers, and we've got buying power, and so we can have people like Tracy to come and spend 3 days in Middle Tennessee talking to us and sharing her information about Viking. I book a lot of individual travel, and I'd be happy to book you. I've got booklets over here on the table for both the ocean and the rivers, and if you have any interest, I wish you would pick one up and maybe thumb through it, and if you see something that looks of interest, let me know. I also escort a couple of groups, usually 2 every year. Last year I took a group to the on the RHINE Getaway in last spring, and I'm planning to go back on that trip in April of 24. And a couple of people in this room were on that trip last year. And Marlena, did you have a good time?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Definitely do it again.
Yeah, especially a highlight was when she was talking about that, it's called the RHINE Gorge, where we all went up on the top deck, and they give you a little map and, like, you know, which castle's coming up next, and there was just like one castle after the other. We spent the afternoon up there doing that. But I do have information on that one, and it's April the 3rd of 2024. And I'll tell you what the starting price is. And this is for that entry-level cabin, the one that's got the window across the top of the wall. It includes the round-trip economy air from Nashville, 2 pre-cruise nights in Amsterdam, the transfers, and the 7-night cruise in that standard cabin is $40.72 per person. Now, if you wanted to upgrade to a French balcony, you know, get with me, I can tell you the pricing on that. If you book it before the 22nd of February, you get the $100 per person onboard credit, and you can qualify for the $25 per person deposit. That's the entry-level pricing. And you may be interested in the RHINE Getaway, but you think, well, I can't go in April, I want to go in June. I can book you anytime you want to go, but this is when there's going to be a group going from this area. There'll be people from Middle Tennessee, for the most part, on this group. It will be an escorted group by me. But like I say, I can book you if you want to go to Portugal, if you want to do an ocean cruise, I can book you on any of those. But this is when I'm going with my escorted group. I'm doing another one in July of next year. And the reason I like to do this one in the spring is because I like to go when the tulips are blooming in Amsterdam. This one is in France. And I've got flyers on the table. It's called Lyon and Provence, and it starts in Paris. We spend 3 nights in Paris, and then we take a train to Lyon and get on the cruise. It's a 7-night cruise. And then we'll fly home from Marseille at the end of the cruise. Now, I'm going on a group in July, and the reason I picked that date is we've got tulips in Amsterdam in April, and in June and July in southern France we've got lavender. Big fields of lavender blooming. Of course, there's a lot of vineyards, wineries. That's wine country. You do have the beautiful lavender. There's Roman ruins there. I mean, it's a very interesting location as well. And that one is July the 7th through the 17th, and we're talking 2024. The round trip air from Nashville, 3 pre-cruise nights in Paris, your transfers, and then the 7-night cruise in the standard stateroom. That is $50.72 per person. And if you went online to vikingcruises.net, I think, that their price would be higher than my group price. I get a discounted price for the groups. And like I say, you may want to do this, you may rather go to Portugal, or you may want to, do whatever, the Danube. I can book you, but this is the escorted group that I will be taking next year. And I do have flyers over here that you can pick one up. And if you have a family or a group of friends or a family trip or something, and you might want to get your own group together, I can create a group and get some group pricing together for you. And you might want to create one in the fall or go do the Christmas cruise in December. I didn't mention this. I am doing a group on it's called Christmas on the Danube this December. But those sell out so quickly, there's no more room on that one unless there's a cancellation. So if you're going to do one of those, you need to really book it way in advance, like 2 years out probably. We talked about the $25 reduced deposit that is good through the end of February. By your coming here today, if you book by the 22nd of February, you each get $100 per person onboard credit. If you're a past guest with Viking, or if you currently have a Viking on the books, you qualify for a $200 per person past guest discount if you've cruised with Viking within the last year. So the guys that went last year with me on the April trip, if you book before that date, you will qualify for a $200 price discount. If you pay with an e-check rather than a credit card, you get an additional 3.3% discount, which usually that amounts to a couple of $100s too. So we can talk about payment options. You might prefer to do the credit card to earn your points on your card. But if you're open to doing an e-check where it comes directly out of your checking or savings, that you can get a little bit of savings there as well. So there are some discounts available right now. And like Tracy alluded to, cruise planners and Viking go way back, and we've got a strong relationship, and sometimes they offer us discounts and promotions that other people don't get. Right, Tracy?
It's the signature amenity. There's, for example, some of the ocean trips up to 500, is it? Some extra shipboard credit. just because it's a certain date. So we kind of award them certain itineraries, certain things that if they book these for their clients. So it's, and you know that if I can say, I'm always asked directly, is it better to book directly with me, or not me personally, but with Viking? And the answer is no. That's why I'm here. We're advocates for the travel advisors. If you call us directly, we've got your booking. You obviously, she's trying to earn your business. She wants your repeat business. We pay her to manage the booking. So you don't pay more. It's the exact same price, but you get all the perks that come with it. And you also get her service that she can, for example, you want to go in a week early and spend time on the land. She can put together those packages. And so always, you hear it from Viking. I will tell you, and I hope you choose to book with Evelyn, but always use her travel insurance.
So question?
Yeah, I'd like to know if you could join a cruise in Europe. In other words, if we're going over for 2 months to visit family.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we join one of the tours?
Sure.
And obviously at a cheaper price because you're not paying to get us back and forth to the United States.
It just wouldn't have the air included in it, right? You would just be booking the cruise portion.
You just have to time it out, you know, whatever day was convenient for you. But yeah, you could just book the cruise only.
There's so many things, and this is where Evelyn can come in. We have a lot of our guests that are now booking a river cruise, and then we call them back-to-backs, where they'll book a river cruise, and then at the end of their river cruise, they will go to an ocean ship and do an ocean sailing. So there's back-to-back where you could do 2 oceans, you could do 2 rivers. So there's so many options that's totally doable.
Is there a way to just take your Viking Ocean from the United States to wherever in Europe?
We don't have it on transatlantic. We might have 1 or 2 random ones where a ship is coming over for a season. Because our fleet is our ocean ships, we have 8 on the water currently. They're nomadic, so they're not like other cruise lines where there's a home port and it's always in Fort Lauderdale and it always leaves on Sunday and it always comes back on Saturday. Because ours are nomadic, there's no specific itinerary, but it might be like a transatlantic when we're doing a summer season and, you know, coming over, hit Iceland, come over Canada, New England, and then goes down to the Caribbean. So you can find them from time to time, transatlantic type, but it's not something that I could say, oh yeah, we do those every, you know. So again, a reason to call where she can, there it is, and give you all that information.
Well, if there's no more questions, I think we're probably done. You're welcome to hang around and mingle if you do want to come up to either Tracy or me with other questions. I do encourage you to pick up a catalog on the red table. And I do have flyers. If you think you might have any interest in either one of these escorted groups, let me know. And I meant to do this earlier. I don't see Helen back there. Is she back here? Oh, she's down low. This is my new associate, Helen DeBellius, and she lives in Manchester. Some of you may know Helen, I don't know, but she's the one that put together our beautiful food over here. And she is starting to book travel as well. So I just wanted to introduce Helen. So if you have any questions, feel free to come up to me at the end, and I appreciate you coming.